This is a blade spindle out of a Ferris 3100, and it needs to be rebuilt or replaced. This one's been rebuilt before. It's usually this is usually pushed in. Usually got to take a punch and pull this out. But it's been rebuilt and it's not lined up. So let's see. Let's see what it looks like on the inside. Should come off of there. There we go. Looks like there was plenty of grease in it. This should just slide off. You get a mallet. It's the bearing that doesn't want to move. Let's take the Zerk off and try plan B. Come on. Oh, fantastic. Let's see how this thing looks. It actually looks like it's in pretty good shape to me. It's kind of a good thing that the bearings still hold on to it good, because sometimes this gets worn down and then they just, even when you put new bearings on it, they flop around. So this all looks pretty good. Let's pull our seals. Let's pull our seals out. One. This bearing looked pretty dry. Okay. So as long as this this machine surface here where the seal sits is still in good condition on both sides, you should be able to knock the races out and rebuild these. I got a little bit of a dent here I gotta deal with, but I'll deal with that when I get to it. Alright, let's take the races out. So I have this race all the way down to where that dent is. I gotta see if I can get that dent out. Let's see if I can do it up here. It's right here. Can you see this? It is moving. I figure if I get it round enough for the race to come out, the seal should sit in there just fine. Alright. I'm not sure if you can see that or not, but it's mostly out. I think that pushing the race out is really going to help it. Okay, so the race is out. This is where that bad spot was. It was bent. And I'm going to work on it a little bit more, just so we don't bend the seal, putting the seal back in. The seal actually sits down below there, so I think we're good. We're good there. Let's take the other race out. Oh, here we go. And it's out. Pretty easy. Alright, let's track down some bearings. Alright, I got all my parts together. Here's our race. That's the bearing. That's the steel. And it goes together pretty easy. One thing I'm going to do with this one is here's where our grease comes out. There's it goes up here. When you grease it, after I rebuild these, sometimes the grease will want to come up and squeeze out through the seal before it fills the bottom cavity. I'm going to use a Dremel and make a little channel for the grease to come down towards the bottom on both sides. And the other thing I got to do is these slots have to line up with the little grease ports there. So, and it's easy to line up because it's in line with the keyway. So I'm just going to mark this. And try to keep that lined up while I reinstall it. Alright, so this little channel here, that should help get grease down to the bottom bearing, which is typically what happens where these start to fail is that all the grease stays up at the top. So I think this will help. Fairly simple. I got a 1 13/16 socket that fits it. The socket is just slightly smaller than the race. You can tell it's bottomed out when the sound changes. It'll start to have more of like a ring, like a bell. Here's my other race. It's got to go in so the bearing will sit like this. We can drop our bearing in. We can put our seal in. Set our seal. Alright, we got interrupted. So this piece comes in, it's in the bearing, it's in the assembly when these are new. And I used to put them back in, but for some reason, I think that there might be a slight variation in the thickness of the bearings, because you cannot re-torque the bearing properly with this still in there. So I stopped putting those back in, and you really don't need it. You really don't need it. You can see on here where the bearing sits, and just if it's properly torqued, it doesn't need to be in there. It really doesn't. So let's put our other seal in, our other bearing. So we're ready to put this thing back together. This is the order it goes in. This little shield down here with the holes goes on the bottom. Then the thinner, the two spacers. See, the thicker spacer goes on top. It's with the slots. I made the mark here that's got to match up with the keyway, and hopefully that doesn't spin as we tighten this up. I'm going to put a little grease on it just in case. Try to keep that from spinning. Alright, and then we got our little dust shield. That goes on. And we'll spin our nut on. They're fairly snug. And they're big enough, so I don't have a socket that fits it. Not one that's deep enough at least. So I just use the pipe wrench. Alright, so I want to put my zerk back in and grease this thing before I finish torquing it down. Okay, so let's see, our zerk takes 7/16 socket. It's kind of an oddball size they use. Alright, there's a lot of space inside of here. This thing will take probably close to half a tube of grease. Okay, so that took over 100 pumps of grease. Now this grease gun has a fairly small, actually I'll show you. One pump with this grease gun is about that much. You see that? That's one pump with this grease gun. It's kind of a small amount. The manual ones are probably less pumps, but it's still, it takes a lot of grease. Okay, I pumped it until I could see it coming out a little bit on the bottom. I don't want to blow the seals out, so as soon as I see that, I stop. Okay. So it's pretty much ready. The last thing we got to do is just want to bend this down a little bit so it can't spin off. Oh, no, we gotta torque it. It's actually torqued pretty good. I'm actually gonna keep it right there. It should move. It should roll nice and smooth, but not. You don't want it to just spin like a bike wheel. I think that's fine. When these things are brand new from the factory, you can't even turn them by hand. Actually, right there. So I can turn it, but it takes a little effort. I'm gonna leave it right there. That should be enough. Alright, then we got our keyway. That's it. She's ready for business. Okay, so there it is. That's what it looks like finished. It's ready for another couple more years of service.